Hi guys, so we're back with another talk kind of video with my mic on. The last one I did of these was back in, I believe, March or April, where I talked about the Mario Kart Wii community. This video is gonna be somewhat similar to that, a little bit. I just want to talk about how being a small Twitch streamer is, like how it feels to be one, and especially for a small game like Mario Kart Wii. So I've started becoming a Twitch streamer. Mainly, I had thoughts of it since like February, January, around there. But my first stream started in March of last year, and since that time, I was able to gain only 450 followers. I know that sounds like a bad thing, but if I'm being honest about being a small Twitch streamer, it feels like a lot more chill and peaceful since like I've never wanted Twitch or any of that to be my job or something like that. It's just something that I want to just do for fun and all that, and it's been working fine for me, I feel, as a small Twitch streamer, which we'll get into the good and the bad of me streaming on Twitch and all that a little bit later on. But let's just start with being a small Twitch streamer. I don't like when people say like you shouldn't focus on like the views and all that of Twitch, because if I'm being honest with you, the worst part of Twitch streaming is seeing your viewer count at like below like 10 views. I don't say below 10 views. I say below 8 views for me, because it's like, who are you? Why are you streaming if nobody's watching or nobody's chatting and all that? Like, I'm not one of those people who like constantly stare at like the views of my own streams. But whenever if I'm being from like experiences, I've had some streams. If you're a small Twitch streamer, you've obviously gone through periods like this where sometimes your streams go like to 4 views, and like that's like the motivating part of being a small Twitch streamer. But when I mean being a small Twitch streamer, I mean like constantly your views are like not like in the hundreds or like in the 200s obviously, but I mean like in the 20s, sometimes 30s, maybe like 15 or so. And I feel like that's like the best range for Twitch streaming for me, because at that point the Twitch chats, they're active, but they're not active to the point where you can't see what the hell is going on. Like the chat's moving so fast. Like I feel like that's the best range for Twitch streaming for me, is a viewer count at least below 40. Because when I've had one stream, it was actually one of my better streams I've ever had. It was I'm gonna play a clip of it here. No audio of course, but I had a Mushroom Gorge ESG stream where I've had up to like 40 views, because I was taking like over 10 hours to beat a Mushroom Gorge staff ghost in CGP, that is. I'm gonna play the clip, but it's gonna be on the screen, and you're gonna see how fast my chat was moving when I beat the ghost. And I'm gonna keep it honest, I was a bit like, there's a reason my reaction was like, if you can go to my, I'll leave the link to the clip in the description. My reaction was very quiet, because like the chat, like I felt happy because like the people were happy that I actually, beat the ESG after like 10 hours. But the chat was moving so fast, and I was like, I don't want to say I was comfortable, but like I don't want my Twitch chats always like that, especially as a small creator and like as a small streamer, because like I don't know what am I supposed to say if there's like the chat's moving so fast. I know like that video only had like 40, that was like 40 Twitch viewers at that time. My chat was going crazy fast, and like that was like the main reason I was quiet, because like I didn't want to have like a not like a cringe reaction, but like an excited reaction with 40 people watching, being honest, because I wouldn't know how to like, I'd be afraid to see the reaction. Like I'd come across as like cringe and stuff. So, and that was like my true, I wouldn't say my first, but yeah, it was my first. I'll say yeah, it was my first time where I've had like a Twitch chat for me move crazy fast, and I was stunned on like what to do or what to say. So that's kind of why I went quiet. Wow, when I have chats with like, I'd say, I do look at the viewer count on my streams. Like, don't lie, if you're a small Twitch streamer, especially for like like an older game like Mario Kart, you don't lie. You look at the Twitch view, you look at the viewer count, because it shows how well your stream is doing and all that. So I was looking at the when I look at the viewer counts, and my views are like at 15. I'd say like 12 to 20. That's when my chats are like the best, because like they're active, speaking, but they're not like fast to the point where I gotta ignore what certain people are saying and stuff. That's like the worst feeling of streaming, unless it's something like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if much people watching this video watch my streams and stuff, but if I ignore your comment and it's not like a fast chat, it's just because I don't like your comment and like I don't want to cause any like issues or anything, So yeah, being a small Twitch streamer, it's like, I'd say it's the best way to stream, because I've known like a lot of Twitch streamers who like, they have like a massive audience and they can't really take it for long. It gets like stressful and all that. But while being a small Twitch streamer, it's like very peaceful and I'd say a very, very chill environment for me. And it's the most fun and the best way to interact with like your small community. I'd prefer having a small community than like a big community, because if you have a bigger community, you can't interact with you can only interact with like a small amount of people. While when I have my small community, I pretty much interact with everyone as much as I can. While if you have like a big community, like let's say like your Discord server, my Discord server only has like less than 200 people. If you have like a Discord server like 1,000 people, I'd assume you can't really talk to 1,000 people, of course. While with my community, when I have like 200 members in my Discord, I can talk to as much of them as I can, because like there's less than 100 active and all that. So that's why I like being a small Twitch streamer more. But yeah, obviously the cons to being one is this is kind of the main reason I made this video, is because I've never had, I'd say since March, I've had like no true cons with Twitch streaming, if I'm being honest, that like stuck with me, because I was like, for a small streamer, I was getting the most out of it. I was getting my full rooms in MKWii, which is a 17-year-old game, which is stunning that I was able to even do that. I feel like with a game that old, and like you need to mod your Wii, put in like a DNS and all that to get all that going. I was able to have like 24, even up to 12 to 24 people wanting to join my rooms and stuff. That was like the best feeling I've ever had, honestly, in my life. I don't know if that sounds sad or not. If it sounds sad, make fun of me. I don't really care that much, but that was like the best feeling I've had in definitely ever. But when we get to this point of the video, my streams, I'm being honest, since I'd say March to April, as of late, I've been trying to find ways to, bring it back a bit. And I have with, because there's a mod called Retro Rewind. It's like insanely active. I've been a little demotivated to stream since like, let me find the date, because there was a specific stream that like kind of killed my motivation of streaming a bit. I'm getting it back though, which is I knew I would, because that's what I walked into streaming. Even as a small creator, I walked into it like, I know there's gonna be incidents where you want to like stop streaming, where you want to quit, or where you want to fucking put a gun on your head. So I saw it coming, but I was demotivated still. Even it was a stream, what was it? It's like, yeah, April 12th. That was like my first, I'd say, really, really bad stream, because there was like stuff going on with like the room and stuff, DCs and all that crap. I was like, I was finding a way for people on emulator to play, and it didn't really work out that well, because I had a room crash by having to like put on a CGP code. I had a Dolphin player host. They had to put on like a code for to allow like a certain setting that CGP would for my room, and it crashed the room, and it's been a disaster since. That was like my first really, really bad stream. And unfortunately, since then, it's been a streak of very bad streams until recently, where I moved on to Retro Rewind. I've had this thought for a while. I was against it because I prefer, CGP's better tracks, for example. And I was able to build my community back to how it usually was. My streams were, I'm gonna be honest, while I was mainly demotivated, was after that stream I brought that was like April 12th. I was very demotivated to stream, because not only were my views crazy down, but when I tried to host rooms like I usually would, it was downhill. There was like, I couldn't even get a room of like 10 people at times, where that was like crazy demotivating for me. My views were, it was like 15 to 20. They're like down to like less than 10 in most streams. I know I wasn't mainly doing rooms because I was very demotivated to do them due to like the lack of turnout and all that. But like, that's the main demotivating factor of streaming when you're small, is yes, when it's somewhat active, like I said, the 15 to 20 view range, it's very, very fun and very, very chill. But don't expect that to happen all the time. That's what I've learned through, because I've learned this. I was very demotivated to stream because of that, but I've learned that that's just the nature of how it is being a small creator. You're not always gonna have a decent audience to talk to. Sometimes it's gonna be very dead and it's demotivating. And don't get upset, man. If you be honest with yourself, if you're a small streamer on Twitch, I guarantee you care about the viewer count. Because the viewer count shows you how much people are invested in what you're doing. And that was like another thing about why I was demotivated, because I was like, if there's like less than 15, 20 people watching like usual, it's like, what am I doing? Am I doing something wrong here? Am I becoming boring? Am I being stale? Am I over streaming? Am I doing all this bad stuff? But all it is that it's just the nature of being a small content creator. Is don't expect everything to be, you know, active and stuff, because you're small. You only have 400 followers. Not all of them. I'd say I have like 450 followers. I'd say like only like 30 of them are like very active in my streams, and not even then. Like most of the time, especially as of late, it's been like, it feels like 15 to 20. So I'd like to just say that if you're a small creator and things are going down for you, just expect it to be. It's the nature of how it is. Because I've had that for like all of April. I'd say was a very April and most of May were a very dead month for me after, like I said, the April 12th stream. Since then, I was on like a prime. I say it was like my prime of streaming was January to March, because that was when I was getting views in like the 20s, the high 20s and like low 40s, like with the Gorge stream. So yeah, that's my. I don't know if I'd be giving advice, because like I'm not really a successful streamer. It's not like my goal, you know, to be a successful streamer. I'm happy with my small comm that I have. But all I can really say, if you want to be a small Twitch content creator, it's fine to be demotivated at times, but don't give up if things aren't going your way, please. Don't give up, because it's the nature of how it is of being a small creator. You're not going to have your audience, your like 20 to 30 viewers all the time, because what I had to do is, since my like I said, my rooms were like dying and all that, like they were barely filling, so I've had to move on to different things. And that's why it was kind of dying. It was demotivating for me, don't get me wrong. That's, like I said, it was demotivating for me, because I was not even getting the same views I was like hosting normal MKW rooms. I was doing like time trials and competitive stuff. But since then, you gotta. Another thing as a small creator is that you have to change up sometimes what you're doing. And it's gonna start off very small, but as of late, my Mogi streams and my TT streams have been getting the views that my KO streams would get, and that's the nature of being a small creator. You have to sometimes adapt to the change, because rooms like the CGGP rooms I was hosting, they were like very active until like April and March and all that. But you have to adapt as a small creator to keep a small audience. It's not like you have a small audience, you're gonna keep it no matter what you do. You have to somewhat adapt a little bit, and that's what I've done, and I'm glad I've done so. I'm back to having a lot of fun as a small creator. It was a rough, I'd say I'd say end of March to mid-May has been rough for me, but that's what mainly got me to make these videos, because I didn't really, like I said, I didn't have any cons of really streaming really until that time. So that's all I really wanted to say. I may do more videos like this. It depends. I've had a lot of ideas of what to do, but I've been kind of like not confident on how the videos would perform, because not gonna lie, for Twitch streaming I feel fine talking, but for YouTube I'm like I'm a bit shy. I don't know if that sounds sad, but that's the nature of what it is for me streaming. And that's it for today. I'll leave my Twitch in the description. By the way, I'm not gonna be buying a new Mario Kart game, because I have bad PTSD from the Switch one. I don't know, maybe I'll make a video on that. I don't know. It matters how the video does. But anyways, I'm done. I'll be back on Twitch probably like tomorrow or something, sometime soon. Bye.